I guess we're live on YouTube already. So welcome to our YouTube viewers. Good afternoon, everyone. In just 1 minute, we'll start. We can take a look at that at the end of the webinar, if we have time. Okay, let's go. Let's start, 4 p.m. There wasn't a time change, so I guess by next week we might get a time change if the time is going to be changing this afternoon. So that might be 5 p.m. Dubai time. So we'll have to make a decision whether we'll keep it still at 4 p.m. Dubai time or we'll leave it at 5 p.m., which would be 8 a.m. New York. I think it's better to leave it at 8 a.m. New York as it is. Right? So that might be the best option for those who can attend. Because not a lot of people attend live, but the viewing is still 5,000, 8,000, still the same amount of people viewing it. It would be better if we get more people to come live, right? Yeah, New York didn't get, New York is going to get a time change, I think, tonight, which means tomorrow it will be a change of time. So next week, we'll probably make an arrangement and when we leave it for 8 a.m. and then we'll see what we do from there. So hope all of you are having a good weekend and enjoying yourself. And our viewers on YouTube, if you want to be able to chat and put your live questions and all of that, you may want to use the link to join. The link is always on my Facebook page. You can always find it there, right? So I'm on the silver, and silver has been consolidating for quite a while. There still could be a couple days more consolidation, but you have to be ready to join the up move because the up move is about to start, right? It started already for those who got in at 13, 14, 14.5. You're already in profit. You can just move your stops and keep those trades and wait for the big move to come, right? So let's see. We don't have a lot of people in the room. That's surprising. Only 40 something. How many people we have on YouTube viewing? Maybe we change the time of the live sessions because we're getting less people in the live sessions, but more viewing and trading on YouTube. So let's see. Let's go. Dollar index. Dollar index, like it was the last time, it is still in consolidation. And that means we are still expecting at least a down move here for a 3-wave. Like I said, if they go up, if they come down to the bottom, that would be something. But if they keep going up within this sideways move, right? If they come back one more down, that would confirm we are making some kind of a flat here. And if we do make a flat, let me just erase all of that and go with yellow. Right? If this comes back here and we get a flat pattern, which is what we can expect to get with probably a correction somewhere in the middle there, then there's a good chance we'll be going up. So last week we just kept going up. This week we can see if it comes back here, and that will make kind of a flat pattern for upside, right? If they come lower than this, which means if they come back to this level, we will expect one more up here and then downside. If you're a wave analysis person, that is pretty simple and pretty understandable to you, right? You literally could understand that if you do wave analysis. If you don't know wave analysis, that's confusing. And I do feel the confusion. I don't look at my YouTube so often, but once in a while I look at it and I can feel some of the confusing people there. You do have, some of them are just trolls. You can ignore the trolls. But some people are a bit confused. Like, okay, why would it do that? Well, you wouldn't know that until you learn how to do this analysis, right? And it is not as simple. Let me just say this because I know this one guy got very confused. At first, he used to say it's easy. Now he's saying it's. I never said trading was easy. Never ever said trading was easy. And you have people who know me from the first day. Trading was never easy. Understanding structure could be very simple and could be very easy when you know how to look at it. So I would say this is easy if you know what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, this is difficult for you. This is like magic to you if you don't know what you're looking for. And if you know what you're looking for, it becomes very easy. If you understand how to read it, it's like anything in life. If you know a language, you can speak it. If you don't know, you have no clue what the other person is saying. So for those very confused people, you either learn this stuff So I'm telling you, I'm advising, and I've advised a lot of people to stop trading. So don't feel you're the only ones. I've advised people who try to call me and say, I have 200 or I have 5,000 or I have $500, sorry, and I would like to become a trader. My job is, no, you should not be a trader. I tell them plain, you should not be a trader, because with $500, you cannot become a trader. There are going to be about 1,000 messages on this video telling you how you can be that. Don't listen to him. You can be a trader with $100. You can become a millionaire with $200. That is what spammers and scammers and brokers, some brokers want you to believe. That if you have $100, you're suddenly going to be a very, very rich trader. You just have to keep compounding the interest on it, multiplying it every week, and you're going to become super rich. Congratulations. If you're that foolish, congratulations. Go ahead and do it and lose your $200, and that's it. This is a business. It's like the same thing for any business you're going to do. Find out what's the capital needed for that business before you start it. Because without the needed capital for a certain business, you're going to fail. You're eventually going to run out of money. And that means your business will go down the drain. So I'm being honest. I'm telling you like it is. You might not like what I say, but I'm telling you like it is, right? There are people who with very small capital has been calling me to take the training course, and I refuse to take them in the course. They know that I'm pretty sure there's 1 or 2 of you in here who has been refused by me to take the training course. I just said, no, you're not ready for it. You don't have the capital to do it. Keep watching my free videos if you really want to learn this stuff, but you're not ready to be a serious trader. You will be wasting my time and you'll be wasting your time, right? And for those who have the capital and are willing to do this and willing to put in the work and are serious about it, we have a course coming up in mid-November. Send me a Skype message and you will get info about the course. You know how to find me on Skype. It's easy. MANGLMAN. Let me just type that. Sorry. Let me type that for you, and then we start the webinar. MANGAL 457. Send me a Skype message and I'll send you the details. That's it. All right? Let's go. Dollar index. What we are expecting this week is that we're expecting this to come back to this level, and then we will watch it, what happens from there. So we'll be looking for a sell setup there. Saying that, we're looking for a sell setup. What we're looking for is a corrective structure in here. And if you understand how corrective structure behave, they sometimes break the top. They sometimes break the top before they come back down, right? So if this happens to go break the top and then come back down, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to panic about it. You don't have to say, hey, the analysis is wrong. What he said is going to come down. Look, it went up a little more. It's just all you have to do is understand what kind of corrective structure you're making there. That's it. That's all. And actually, it's much better information if they do this, breaking the top, then come back, rather than don't break the top. That's not something we're going to go into detail today, but that is more information for you if they break the top and come, rather than not do that. You see, the chart gives you information. You just have to be able to read it correctly. So short term, you can go to the 1 hour. And now if your analysis says you're expecting it to go down, this is what you do. You wait for your trade setup. You wait for certain setups based on your strategy. That if I get this, then I would take the trade. See, you have to have a strategy. You have to first get your analysis, and then you get a strategy. We don't discuss strategies in these webinars. So don't expect to take trades based on what I give you, because what I'm giving is analysis. And if you don't have a strategy to trade it, you will become one of the trolls on my website, on my video, sorry, because I don't have a website on YouTube videos, because you'll be totally confused. If you ask me, we saw this, and I said, that's not a good buy. I told my traders, you can take it if you want for a break-even trade, but that's not a good buy because we're expecting it to turn. That's a record. That's in our live webinar that we did. Why? Because we're close to the top and we're not expecting them to break the top. They might, but we're not expecting that, right? And we're expecting, if you get a flag here, then you go for a sell. This is a sell you will take. And you should take the sell. Even if that sell becomes a loss or a break even, you will take that sell every single time if you understand wave analysis. See? It's that easy for the guy who was asking when I said it's easy. It is that easy when you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, this is complicated for you. Trading as itself is difficult. Trading is not easy. You're in the trade and then it breaks the bottom and it stops you. What do you do? I'm not dealing with that part. I'm not dealing with management of trade. That's something we deal with in our trading room. How do you manage trades when you're in them? That's not something we deal with in here. What I'm giving you here is my view of what could happen in the short term and maybe sometimes in the long term. So if you're not capable of differentiating those things, you can do two things. You can educate yourself or don't trade. Right? It's that simple. It's make it very easy for you. Because if you don't do either of the two, you're going to be on the wrong side of trading. You're going to lose your money. So if it gives you correction here, look for your sell setup. Euro, same here. You got a sell setup. We come. Euro, we're looking, let me give you the 4-hour on the euro. So we can confirm that now as an expanding flat. We did this some time back when we took the daily expanding flat and show you what it looks like. We can confirm that. What I can also tell you is that they're probably making a running flat here. See this? We're likely to get this and then get that. And I'm pretty sure most of you have seen that pattern. If you've seen my webinar before, you've seen that pattern. So if you're getting some upside here, take the trade. It could be a running flat. It could be an expanding flat. Those are the two patterns we are expecting to develop. Based on what we have, we're thinking of the patterns we know, and then we're saying, okay, based on the patterns we know and the information we have, these are the two possible patterns we think can develop. So if they do develop these patterns, we are getting that trade. That's the whole difference. The difference between me and you is that if they do that pattern, I get that trade. If they don't, I'll just wait for the next setup, the next possible pattern that I can recognize. Because to trade, you have to do forecast. You have to decide whether this is going to go up or down. And then if it gives you that setup and your strategy fits it, you take the trade. If that doesn't happen, you're not in a trade, and that's okay. You just wait for the next good setup you have. Or you can go make noise on my YouTube video. You have two choices, right? You can either live your life, enjoy it, and make money in trading, or you can go make noise in my YouTube video. Some of those, are also people who are selling you signals, and I always say don't buy signals from them. So, you should expect it. So I'm expecting this to make a move up, and then we will see what happens from there, right? Because watch this. You want the flag here, and then you can buy. Can that thing turn and go straight down? Yes, you will not have a sell setup. It can turn here and go, but you will not get a sell setup there. If this thing drops here tomorrow, I'm not selling it because I don't see a reason to sell it. There isn't a pattern that tells me sell. It will have to drop, it will have to correct, and then I can say, okay, what is the next possible pattern that could develop from what it has now? And then if I understand what that pattern is likely going to be, how far is it going? Is there a good risk to reward in that trade? If there isn't a good risk if I can know that it's going in that direction, like I showed you in the one before, but if there isn't a good risk to reward in that trade, it's going without me. That's it. It's going without me. I'm not going to go in a trade that is not going to give a good reward for the money you're risking. Right? You're risking people's money. So you might say, okay, but let it go without me. I'll look for the next one that gives me a better reward. Remember, you're always putting your money at risk. So you're always looking for what is going to be the reward if you risk it. You don't just jump into any trade. Even if you know what a trade is. Even if sometimes your strategy gives you everything for that trade. But where it could stop and turn is not good enough reward for you. You don't take it. Whether you were right or wrong about it, it doesn't matter. You simply don't take the trade. It might go farther than you thought it would go, but you should not be in that trade. Because your analysis says, no, it might not go that far. You're looking for a regular flat. It went much higher. It become an expanding or a running flat. Well, okay, wait for the next setup. Now you know what it could do, so you wait for the next setup. I hope that is sinking in with some of you if you understand anything, right? I really hope it's sinking in with you because I'm trying my best to help you, especially the confused people. right? Because somebody's going to fool you. Here's the point. I can make it simple for you. I can tell you, just draw a line here, and if it break that line, sell. If it don't break the line, wait for it. You know, I can tell you those crazy, crappy stuff that you hear somewhere. Or draw a tree line here, and when it come back to this area, buy it. And you buy it at that area, and you lose your money. You don't even have a clue why you're buying it and why you're losing your money, right? Because you know nothing about trading. And you just believe the guy, or I send you out the signal, and you take the trade, and then you don't know what to do. If I send you a signal, you take the trade, and you don't know, if you don't understand the trade and you can't manage the trade, you're going to be panicking. And I don't want you to get a heart attack over a trade you don't understand. I want to train you. I want you to understand what you're doing. The number one thing 99.9% of all the traders say, I should say 100%, but I can't say 100 because I always like to leave, you know, thing that all my traders say after completing the course is that now they understand what they're doing. Every single one of them. Now, even people with 10, 15 years experience who take the course finally say, now I understand what's happening. I've been trading before. I've been making money, losing money, you know, making and losing, but now I understand what's happening. One guy even said, now I can go back and look at all the losing trades and understand what crazy stuff I was doing. Because you're taking trades, but you have no clue what you're doing. You're just buying and selling because of something, right? That doesn't explain what's happening, what the chart is doing, how it's moving, why it's moving that way, right? Now he understands it. That's the whole difference. Trading from a point of knowledge or trading from a point of ignorance. That's the difference in wave analysis. So wait for a flag here. You get a flag, take the trade. If it becomes a break-even trade, what do I mean by break-even trade? If that flag comes here, breaks out, you get into the trade, it doesn't go far enough, which means you don't get this. Instead, you get this. Take a break-even in the way down. Right? I hope you understand what to do there. And then still wait for this to happen because it is very, very likely going to happen. I don't have the time enough to show you that, but if you finish my course, you know that that is going to happen. It's just simple going to happen. That's it. Found? We can go back and show you what we expected to do and what it's doing. Right? So you're making one, you have a move down and you're consolidating in here. Now, could this piece be all the consolidation? Let me see if I can make this easier for you guys. I'll take everything out. I mean, these are things I shouldn't be showing you. Let me be honest with you. These are things we do in our training course. What I'm going to show you here is something I shouldn't be showing you. But it's just to help you because most of you who can take the course and enjoy being in our group, you know, one of the things that the group does is also creating friendships. Two people just posted a photograph. They met in the group and they're best friends today. Right? So I think I have to charge them some extra fees for that. So the two of you guys who posted, well, you know who I'm talking about, right? I have to start charging you guys for making good friendships in the group because it's an amazing group, right? So look at this. You have a move down, you have to consolidate. It will always go back somewhere in here. This is your nightmare, understanding when that thing is finished to get in the trade. Because if you don't understand it, then trading becomes your nightmare. If you do, then you know it becomes easy. Let me repeat. If you do, then trading becomes easy for you. So that fella who was saying that he used to say it's easy, I still say it's easy if you know what you're doing. But not for you. I'm pretty sure it's not easy for him. He's having his nightmare right now. We make a correction of the question you'll always ask, is that all the correction? I told you no, that was not all the correction. I expect one more down and one more up, or I expect a flat here and one more up. This is where you get the B wave becoming complex. But there is a pattern whereby this could be all the correction and this one could go. We call that the contracting flat. I don't think that's the contracting flat. I don't like to trade contracting flats. They're very difficult because every time you thought you were in a contracting flat and you try to keep those trades, by the way, we trade those down. If you try to keep those trades, you're going to have a problem having a more complicated B wave here, a C wave up there, and then downside. So we don't keep trades when we see something that might be a contracting flat. We take the trades like we took all these trades here. All of these we took to the downside, right? And then we get out of them. So I think we might be in a turning point here very soon, which means we can expect a C wave to the upside, a bigger move to the upside. we can expect one more of, not this one more of this move to the upside. A very similar move like this to the upside. If we get that, that would be amazing, because that will complete a pattern that we know. If they do this, it will be a very simple pattern, but it will be a pattern that we know. If they start to make a bigger consolidation here, which means you get something just like this, and then drop, well, this also is something we know. If they come to this low and then go back up there, that is something we know. All of that will point only to the downside. This is something I'm just giving you an idea of how complicated it could be. But once you're a wave analysis trader, you know all of that. You have all that knowledge with you. So is it easy? No, it is difficult. You have to learn this stuff for quite a while under someone who knows it well, right? Not just getting someone who have no idea what they're doing, trying to teach you how to do this. So we're expecting some upside here. Let's see if that happens. If you get the upside, go for the buy. Any trade to the downside, any consolidation, short-term consolidation here. So let's say instead of going up, they do this. They come back here and they go there and they do this. And you get a trade set up here by Thursday or by Friday. This trade would be one trade and you take off the profit. If this consolidate here, it's going to take a couple of days, because it will have to be a bigger consolidation. See? You also know times when they have to make a bigger consolidation before they go. Aussie? We're expecting one more up. I think I told you that when we were here. That watch this here. We're probably expecting one more up. They drop a little. We saw this, one more drop, and now we're still expecting one more up. But we broke the low. And that is very good information when it broke the low. It means you're making a running flat. So we're still expecting this to come up some more here. It doesn't have to break that up anymore because we broke the low already. And then there will be one more down. Then they will have to make one more impulse to the downside. So we at least know that Aussie is going to have another impulse to the downside. And that's good information to have, because you can get that impulse once it starts going. New Zealand? New Zealand is coming down. We were looking at this structure to see whether we're going to come and retest this low somewhere here. There's still a possibility for them to do that, but with that sharp move up, we'll have to be careful now for the downside. So we got this trade done. We got this trade done. It came off. We were looking for another trade here. We were actually expecting this to consolidate here and break. Instead, they come up. So now we will be watching for two things. Either you get a bigger correction in here and then they drop, which means they make a bigger correction there. That'll take about 2 or 3 days before they drop. You wouldn't be trading it then. Or they just make a simple correction here, a flag. And this would be perfect because you're taking this trade probably out of this structure. Long term, this could go up quite a lot. So come back here. Long term, if this thing breaks, we're going to have a very big move to the upside. We're going to have a move that might be equivalent to this. So you see this correction here? If this turns out to be a correction like that and they break out of this, we could get a trade like that. Not one trade, but a movement like that will be a number of trades. Because you're going to get in, get off. As every time they make a correction, you're probably going to get off and get in back. So keep your eyes open for that one. This might give us a clue where it's going. Yen. Right now it's consolidating. I still think they're going to go up. It looks more up than down. We're just making some corrections. This is not going very aggressive. We really wanted it to go as aggressive as this went, that piece went. But we'll be watching the top. When they don't go so aggressive, the up move is difficult to trade, but the down move becomes a joy. I think all of you know, right? When it starts going like that, where they keep making wave like this, and they go like that, and we get this, the up move becomes a headache. You can trade it. If you understand it, you can trade. You just have to take short trades. But this down move becomes a joy. Because if you see this, this is what follows. I think I've shown you a lot of that, right? So I don't have to go into details of that. Actually, if they start to do that, that'll be great for us. Because that down move is going to make you a lot of money. Right? You know what it's going to do. So let's see how they go. I still think we'd like to see this and then the downside. We're still in a big consolidation with unconfirmed direction. More like an A-B squeeze, yes. Pretty much like an A-B squeeze. We don't know what is, it's starting to look like that. We can't confirm. This could still be a big running flat. I'm giving you guys too much information. I'm seriously, my traders are like, oh, you're not supposed to give them that, right? There's still a possibility of this being a bigger running flat and they just take off straight up, right? So we'll watch for both. We're not looking for sells as yet, right? It might become a sell, but we're not looking for sells as yet. We're expecting either this is a bigger running flat or we're going to make a squeeze. By next week, we will know more, right? I don't mind you, Lauren. The idea of doing these free webinars is to help you guys. Right? That's the only purpose. You're not paying me for this, right? It's just to help you. And this is not a promotion. If I wanted to do a promotion, I'd just put an ad out on YouTube or an ad out on Facebook like everybody else does, like most of those guys do. And I don't do that stuff, right? Because that's not the whole point. Kat, I'm hoping you can share this to save somebody from getting caught on those Facebook advertisement stuff. Because most of them they're looking pretty much for new traders who have no idea what trading is. You have to have a year experience to join me. There's a difference, right? So this one, CAD, we're looking for downside, by the way. But like I said, if they start breaking out of this would be a good buy. If CAD breaks out of that, we will go with this as the ABC. We're not going to get the downside, and we'll totally be looking for an upside here to break this top. But that is not confirmed. If CAD actually breaks from here to the downside now, we will still be looking for this. We'll still be looking for that. We're at a point here now where they have to tell us that. It has to be one out of the two, right? So maybe by the end of this week, we'll definitely know which one out of those two trades we're getting. As far as I can see, it looks like the upside is starting to get more aggressive because this sharp move here should already be faced with a sharp move to the downside. Let's see what happens here. Can we get a trade in this for any direction this week? I think, yes, we can get a trade here. If you get a, see that one, we sold that, by the way, so that you know, because we were expecting it. Same here. If you get a flag here and we get another drop there, we will sell it and we'll watch it somewhere along here. Not exactly in the line, but somewhere along there. You'll move your stop and see whether they break through. Because if this second one might differ, if they fall, that second one could break straight through and go. This might have been the first in the attempt to break out, didn't work. The second attempt might go. So let's see. Keep your eyes on this cat for a sell. You can put an entry order here for a buy if you want, but look for the sell. The sell seems more probable than the buy right now. Swiss, we wanted it to break the top. We showed you this. I showed you this structure. I told you this is going to be a running flat. But there is no way this is going to go down and break and continue to go down without giving an up move. Well, they gave us an up move. So the question is, can we look at this whole piece as the flat now? Can we look at this whole piece as the pattern at the end of the pattern? It can be, but I really like when they break the top. When they break the top, they make the pattern completed. It's pretty much the common part of when they break the top, you know the pattern is over. If they break the top and turn, that's comfortable to trade. It makes your life easy when you get a sell setup to stay in that trade. When they don't break the top, it's still valid as a pattern. Right now, they don't have to break it, but it makes your life a little more difficult. At any point you take that sell, it could stop, become a correction, and turn to the upside to break the top and then come back. Right? So if you're going to look for sell setups here, which it seems like we're going to get, right? If you're going to look for a sell setup here, you got to be careful. You got to move your stops very early. You don't try to keep these trades until it has moved quite a lot. So what you can wait for is a correction and then look for a drop. If it drops very fast, good for you. You can keep that trade. If it starts to go very slow, be careful. They'll go tag the top and come back. Worst case, you got a break-even trade. Good case, you make a lot of money, right? So 1 hour, wait for the correction before you take the trade. Silver, buy silver. It doesn't matter what silver does, buy it. Right? If you bought silver here, you're making profit. I think we're consolidating here. This looks more like a consolidation to me. I don't think that consolidation looks like it's going to take off because we've got some sharp moves here still need to be confirmed, to be used in a proper correction. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just come break this top. If this just comes out here, break the top, go back down there, and then take off. We might get something like this. Possibility is they even come back here, break the low again, and then take off. So this could be much more complicated than we think, which means we might get a very big, long, drawn-out correction here before it takes off. And actually, silver likes to do that. If you look back at the past, they make those very complicated ones. For me, it doesn't make a difference if they come lower or buy lower. Okay, that's it. So those of you who are in there, you could have actually exited silver. I exited silver at this point because I had silver buys from here, because I saw that big consolidation, and you can just put an entry order at the top here, so you're always in the trade if it takes off, right? And now you wait for it to come back, and then you buy lower. So you can actually do that. You have to have the experience, but you definitely want to be in a silver trade if it takes off. So which means you're going to always have a silver buy or an entry order to buy. Gold actually moved very well, moved up nicely. We're getting some, you can see that kind of a slow motion there where they're not going. It means they're actually going to make a pull back here and then probably go. Right? Most likely we're going to look for a consolidation. I don't think we're going to go down totally. We're not expecting that move to go downwards. Right? If you're looking at this whole pattern, there is one chance where this could be a flat and this comes down here and then go. That is possible. Right? There's a possibility for that. I don't like this pattern. I literally don't like this consolidation. It's not, something about it is not complete. Right? So I don't think they're going to do. I think we might still be in the flat, whereas we come back here, then make an attempt at the low. Right? That's how I see the structures developing. I could be wrong on this because there's a lot of thing about this pattern that is still not completed. Bigger patterns, smaller patterns not completed. That is why you have to complete each of those patterns before the next one is formed. So right now, I think we'd be looking for a pullback here. I wouldn't be looking for a sell. I'd look for if they pull back here and then start to go for a buy. But if they drop here and make a consolidation, you can sell that to here. And then if they break, you sell it to the break of this low. And then you watch the break of this low. Because if they do that, they'll drop to this level and then go back up. If you're going to be looking for a sell setup, you would wait for them to fall, make a consolidation, then go. We don't have that. See, we're still in the up move. So go on the 1 hour. They'll have to break this structure. This structure looks more like they're making a running flat to take off. So I'm not expecting big downside. I'm expecting probably something like this and go. Just a bigger consolidation in there. And this would be the trade plan. So if they come here and they go back up, I'll look for a buy somewhere there. Well, based on my strategy. Right? If they drop here and they start to make a flag, we'll sell that. You're still in the big pattern, right? So either of those two can possibly happen. Euros. We're coming down slowly. We're making the big sideways move we anticipate they're making. It's kind of like going sideways. You can see that. So they might just drop a little more. You will look for this move next. Once they come down a little more here, we'll start to look for this move up next. That is that sharp wave up there. And then we look for anything else. So let's see if that happens. You don't have any setup for sale here, not for buy, not for sell. You just have to leave it alone. Here in New Zealand, you might get your sell set up finally. You see they've made the top exactly what we wanted, a bigger correction. They made that bigger correction. We're heading for the downside. See, this is easy. It's not that difficult. So you're waiting for a sell setup here. And you're actually getting one right now. You just need this to continue to do this, and then you can take this straight here to the downside. Hopefully this time they break out. They don't stop here and go back up. You want them to break out this time and come here. Right? This could be a very nice trade. Remember we said New Zealand could be going up and going up very sharp. If that happens, this would be a wonderful trade. So we would look at the pound New Zealand and a few more New Zealand trades as we go along. So pay attention to them, because they might become the very best trades for this week. EuroCAD. Okay, we break, we go down. We're looking for a flag, but we're not getting it. We're looking for correction. We're not getting it. It's kind of still climbing up. So we'll have to watch this bigger pattern. Maybe it's not completed as yet. We'll have to watch this whole big structure we're in. Maybe they're going to go back one more up. If they start to do that at this level, two things you're looking for. Right? When you start to do this, you're looking for two things: go back up one more, or make a running flat here and then fall through the bottom. Right? So you'll have to look at this whole structure, see what it looks like. What is it doing? This could be 1, 2, 3. You get something like that, or you could still be in a big sideways move here. Come back to this level and then go. This could turn out to be a bigger correction, and I think it is a bigger correction. If you look backwards here, let me see if I can help you guys to figure this one out. If you look backwards here, you have this very, very complex, big pattern here. And actually, if you go in trading view, you will see me doing this, showing you why this was going to come down, right? So we might be doing a running flat. This is more of a regular flat with a very big expanding flat in the middle, right? This here had kind of a big running flat in the middle here. You would probably see this here. If you look at this, this was at a big flat here. Or you could even look at this whole big structure here as the pattern, whichever one you would you can look at. Very simple. You had a very deep pullback in this one. You can see that pretty deep, go sideways and then drop very deep. There was an expanding flat in this one, expanding triangle. Sorry, in this one, there's an expanding triangular pattern there. And we are doing this now. I think you're starting to see something, right? So at this point, we thought it's over. We thought that was over and they're going down, but they could still make it more complicated, which means you can go back up to the top there, make this whole piece a bigger pattern like that, and then come back here. Right? That's to show you that they can, and I can show you why this is possible. If you come back here, this is what we had. When we were looking at this, I was looking at, if you go to trading view, you'll see my analysis look like this. We have one here, we're going to get one there, we're going to get one up, and then we're going to go down. We always do it like that, give you the simplest possible pattern. And they did go up, right? This one actually went up, but then they made a big flat here before they go. And this was a warning sign. Something we know now that we didn't know then. We didn't know then that if you get a big flat there, you got to be careful. They came down, and then we got this structure inside. And then they took off. See the speed at which that went up? So you get 1, 2, 3, and then you come down. It's pretty much what we can figure out here. See, we said now we know it. We didn't know it then. When they made this deep correction here, I was like, okay, something is changing in this structure. It's not going to just fall as we think. So there's a chance that this here could go back up and actually go very fast back to the top. Either as a running flat or an expanding flat before they go down. That's how you do analysis. That's you're analyzing the chart with all the possible patterns that you know, and there is a variations of those patterns. Now, when you've done that, you go into the time frame and you said, okay, which of those are likely going to happen based on what we have in this time frame, and based on what we have in this time frame, and based on what this is telling us and that is telling us. What are the lower degrees and the lower patterns telling us? And then you trade it. That's all you need to know. I could actually end the webinar there and you should be able to do the rest by yourself. Literally. If what I just showed you there, if you figure that out, I can just go now and you can figure out everything else by yourself. If you never did wave analysis and you figure that out, I'll give you a medal. You never will. It's not that easy. Sometimes people with 2-3 years experience in my group still struggle with it, right? So there's a lot you need to know if you're going to look at that. Watch this. I think we might be giving a turn here for an upside, for a more bigger pattern, a bigger one of those bigger flats. Do you have a buy setup? Nope, not as yet. Can it still drop? Yes, within the lower degrees, it can still drop. But watch it very carefully. You don't have a buy setup here as yet. You might be getting one, but it's not there as yet. Euro Swiss, same here. We sold this one. It came back up, and then we said, okay, watch it for another sell. Here is another sell. Broke out, came back up, come back. You could take that out for a small loss or a break even because this is your stop loss. You don't live with that stop loss. It's no longer valid. And that means we're going to relook at this. It's not doing what we expect it to do, which is we expect this to make a correction and drop. It didn't do that. So now it has to do two things. It has to give us a bigger correction here because we're going up. This is going up. It has to make a bigger correction like that. And then start to drop before we sell again. Or go straight up here, make a correction here, and then we start buying for a bigger up move. Right? This all would be one bigger correction problem. We don't have that. We don't have either of that. So right now, I think it's still downside, but it's going to be a bigger correction. So this has become a B wave in the middle. I can show you that. This is a B wave here. And we're likely going to see this make an up move here. It's a short-term up move. I don't think you want to take the trade if you wouldn't be able to manage that. But if you'll be able to manage that, you can take that trade and then look for the downside. Right? That's a trade setup if you know what to do. You can go for this, hope it doesn't stop short so you don't take a loss. You get a break-even trade. But if you go higher, you get the trade. It comes here, stop, you get out of the trade and you start looking for yourself. Euro yen. This one is amazing. This one is doing exactly what we wanted to do, and it's going exactly as we wanted to go. So you could have traded all those patterns. And remember when this one was going up, what I said, let it break this stop, and then it's going to turn to the downside. Go look at the webinars. They're there, right? The webinars are there for you to look again and remind yourself of what we were expecting and why we were selling and why we were looking for sell-trade. Now we've got to be careful. 2 ways this pattern could develop. Again, why 2 ways? Sometimes it's more than 2 ways. Sometimes it's like 3, 4 ways the pattern could develop. Right now, we'll be looking for this flat possibility, a more complicated B wave. You might get a sharp wave back up like this. That's an option. You might get, and then we'll be looking for the downside. If they make a bigger correction here, we'll just continue to go down. But this up move here now is possible within a bigger corrective structure. And on the daily, that structure is still possible. See, that bigger structure will still be within the daily structure. So you can still come back here. Sorry, go like this, come back here, and you can still do this. And you will still get this pattern intact. See? It's easy, right? It's easy if you know what you're doing. It's not easy if you don't know. Right? Now, what would be your trade setup? Wait for this impulse to make a correction, and if the correction is good enough for a buy it. Europound. This is making a bigger correction, so you guys will all have a very good trade. Remind you of this one again, so that if you're one of those confusing people, you would learn, break this stop and turn. That was there for like 6 webinars. When it was doing this, it will have to go back, break that up and turn. I told you, you might not get a single buy in here. Some of my traders got 1 or 2 small trades in there, but you can get all the sells. So we got that sell, we got this sell, and if you're in this sell now, you can wait for this to break. And when this break, you're gonna get this sell. That's just a big correction in the middle there. If that breaks, you can get that trade to the downside. If it gives you the trade setup. Can they crawl up some more? Okay, sure. Not the best buy setup to the upside. I do think they can go up some more. It's not the best buy. Leave it the buy alone and now look for the sell setups. As you can see, we were identifying those patterns, but not really trading them to the upside. Uncat. Okay, this one broke, give you a small correction, didn't actually go, came back up. Just expect a bigger correction here. I just think they're making a bigger correction before they go down. So we will be looking for the downside when that bigger correction finishes. Just like this, much of a bigger correction and then downside. Peng Yen, just like we told you, right? Watch that as a big correction and downside. And we told you about this big pattern. The reason we think it's going to go down is because we saw this. And most of my traders had the confidence to sell it because I showed them something else in the trading room that you didn't see, right? Something else that we showed that why that trade would likely go down, and it would go down very nice if you want to sell it because of how we analyze the chart, right? So we're expecting it to break this low. Let's see if we get that far. if you were taking trades, there are a lot of trade setups, and you probably get another one. I think we could be expecting some kind of a deeper correction here now. Maybe one like that, maybe a bigger one like this, and then we'll get the downside. So you're not going to get a downside right now. Okay? But after a correction, you would likely get it. Pound Chief going down, and actually going down very nice. And I don't know if I said this in the weekly outlook the last time, but we saw this and then we saw this. I said, watch this, it's like you're gonna go. And then we said, watch this, if this goes to the top there, you can want to take a sell, but now they're doing this. They actually made a small correction there, but it's not dropping. And when they make the small correction and they don't drop, if you got in that trade, if you got in the sell, you take it off, because now we were expecting it to make a bigger correction. When they don't go, they're going to make a bigger correction. So what that means is that at this point here, they're probably going to start to do something like this, and then you'll get a trade. That's up. Can you trade within that up move? Well, it depends if you get a good setup and if the risk to reward is very good. You can do that in a 60 minutes if you get a good one. In terms of the sell, you will wait for that to happen, and then you'll go for the sell. See? And they started to do this, they're probably going to make a deeper correction. So when they started to do that here, what happened? They made a deeper correction. So I think right now we're expecting a deeper correction before you trade. On New Zealand, we're pretty much going sideways, and that is good. Once you see this, I think you can see from what I draw that we knew this pattern was going to happen. I think all of you can recognize that. That's what we were expecting to happen. And now you can go for the sell. You can wait for this to do that, and you can take the sell. Pretty easy, right? If you know what you're looking for. So what are we looking for in this one? Watch it when it comes back to this level. I don't think we're going to have more upside. I think they might be going for the downside now finally, because all of this is just a correction. But there's a good chance that this correction keeps going, right? There's a good chance they only come to this level, and they probably go back and make a bigger correction in here, right? There's a good chance you still get a bigger correction. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think there's a good chance we're starting that downside. You get a correction up, and then you go down again. Let's see how far it goes, right? Pause. Very similar, go back to the 1 hour, and you can take all the sells you get, right? So right now we're making a bigger correction. I think we're going to expect more of a 1, 2, 3 pattern here. We're going to expect something up there, and then we can see if we get the downside again. If this makes a flag here, solid, you're going to have a running flat, right? If they make a flag here in the middle and then fall, take the trade, you will eventually get that, but you're going to get that at a lower point. You'll get it somewhere here. You'll get a running flat, and then it's going to go. If you don't know what you're doing, this one is very, very difficult to trade. Running flats are difficult to trade, right? But if you know how to trade them, you can trade them. So this might be difficult for some of you, but if you get the flag, worst case is you're going to get a break, even if you start a panic. Aussie yen, we expected a downside, but it keep coming back. So if you look back at the bigger picture here, they started to do this. That means we might be looking for an upside. So this piece might get a few drops more, but then start to look for an upside. Look for this trade up here. It might not go lower. We broke this low already. It might be turning to the upside, right? They broke the low, watch it. If it starts going up, go for this trade. Go for that trade if it goes back up. But be careful in that pattern that we're in, they could still keep dropping, right? They could still keep dropping. You see, they could still keep dropping like this for a while and then go back up. But once they start breaking you and giving you the trade setups, that would be a good trade. Don't have access to YouTube. Is YouTube on still? Right. I'm not sure what the conversation is about. I think we're still on YouTube. New Zealand, yeah. I think we're getting some kind of a confusing pattern here in that this is a complete pattern, but this is not going very low. It should start going very low. When they're not doing that, you wait for two things. You wait. We were expecting this to break out. That didn't break out. We were expecting this to probably go break out. It didn't break, but they're not going down as well. If you notice, they came to the low again. They came to the low, and they're turning every time they come to the low. So what you probably would expect here is a bigger, complicated corrective structure. And if that turns out to be the bigger corrective structure, let me see if I can erase that and make it easy for you. If this comes back here and then start to fall, we will take this trade because you're going to get a bigger, complicated structure to the downside. It's going to be more down. But at some point, this will have to go back up. So even if they drop one lower here, they're going to probably do this, right? And they might go back really high. Now, they can go low. The previous low of the impulse was here, so there's still a lot more to go down, which means this correction could come all the way to the bottom here before it goes back up, right? So what you're going to do here is go to the 1 hour, and if they give you a buy setup, take the trade, right? If you get a flag here for a buy, take the trade. If you make a flag here and then they go up, take that trade. If they keep dropping like this, I don't think you'll probably get a good trade. Just ignore the drop. Wait for the buy setups. That might be better trading for you. Right? If you do get a perfect setup for a sell, then okay, but I don't see a perfect sell setup here. This was a good sell. This was probably a good sell. This might not be a good sell. And then let me show you what we drew in it and what it's doing. We expect this to come down, and then we expect it to go back up. See what it's doing? We had that trade and we had this trade. You're looking at the patterns and you're looking at what it should do. Pretty easy, right? Now, do they have to come back here? That was an assumption we made where it could come, but can it stop right there and go? It could stop right here and go back up, but we are expecting it to come a little more down. Let's see if we get it a little more down, right? If we get it a little more down, then we're looking for that one more trade up. I think all of you look at it and say, oh, I saw that pattern. It looks very clear now, right? Looks like it's easy, right? You can look at it and say, oh, we saw this. That is pretty easy. Why didn't we see that, right? We saw this whole correction here, right? And then we knew this was going to come down, and now we were expecting it to go back up. So is it turning already? Not as yet. It might be turning, right? If you get a corrective structure here, if you get a very nice corrective structure here, you can take that buy because that might be the turning spot. But I think they can probably climb down along a little here more before they go. Right? So I think you might get the yen pairs going down some more before the upside, right? Swiss yen. Swiss yen is the one you want to stay out of. Eventually, it might go back up, but they're just crawling down slowly, and I think there is more downside now. We might be getting, kind of more downside within this structure. Eventually, it has to go back up. Right? Eventually, that thing has to go back up. I don't think we're complete. We haven't broken that top. Like I said, every time they don't break the top, I don't see the structure as completed as yet. So if I'm going to go short term on this, go for sell long term. Sorry, if I intend to go for long term sell on this, I want to see a daily correction like this. Only then I will go long term sell. Right now, I'm still expecting this to go back up and break the top. We're just getting a more complicated corrective structure in the middle there. Right, and this is easy to see. I think if you understand, you look at it, oh, well, they're coming down. Is it going to fall? No, it's not going to fall. It's still within a very complicated B wave structure before they go back up. Aussie Swiss. Okay, this one is difficult to trade itself because of the way the patterns behave in this. Like they make very complicated patterns. They're probably going to drop here and then go back up, but you are unlikely to get that trade. They're not giving you a very good entry pattern, something you can enter into, right? Here they were supposed to make a flag for a good entry. That didn't happen. They spike up. So the same speed at which they spike up is the same speed they could shoot down back to the bottom there. and go back up. So you don't get into the trade. And if you don't get into the trade, then let it go. Don't just trade that. Trade something else. We're still expecting this to go up one more before it turns. And just to show you what the daily one looks like, this would be an amazing one if it does what we think it's doing. So we're looking at this B wave structure here. And we're looking at a possible B wave structure in here. This coming back to the top, somewhere to the top there, and then going back down. This would be a good sell because you're going to expect that to behave like this. See that? That could be a good sell. That would be an impulse to the downside. So this sell would be good. But the most amazing one that will happen after that sell is the buy. Because we're not expecting it to break the low. We're expecting it to break this low and then start that up move. You are getting an impulse, a correction, and an impulse. Let me show you what that looks like. What it looks like? Looks like magic to some of you. When this comes to break this, you see this one broke that low. When this one come and break this low, go for that trade. See how the magic works? You want the downside, you want that sell, and then you want that buy. If you get this buy, you can double your account. You want to get that buy and double your account? You have about 3 more months to make the big train to do that properly, which is you can join the mid-November course. And by the time you complete that course, this up move will be ready for you. And if you can trade this up properly, you can double your account. So if you've got a $50,000 account, you can pay for the course and you can join it. If you have a $2,000 account, don't take the course. Right? Because if you double 2,000, it's still not enough to pay for the course. So the whole idea is that you have enough money to trade and then you can go take the course. See, we're showing you, somebody's calling me already. Don't call me in the middle of the webinar. Somebody's calling already. Somebody's calling the Skype already. Not so fast, guys. Let me finish the webinar. Then don't call me, send me a message on Skype. See, somebody's getting anxious to take the course in mid-November. He's calling already. Aussie CAD. This is going to come down some more, and then it's going to go back up. Let's show you the structure as well on this one. Let me show you the Aussie structures for the upside so you can understand what we're looking for. I can't make that. I put it in the weekly because I can't make it smaller. See? We've got that. We've got this up. We're coming down. We saw that downside. That was forecast for you. We're expecting it to come down some more. And then you'll likely get a correction. It's not going to come down in a straight line, so there might be a correction here. So please, if you're one of the trolls, don't jump and say, hey, he said it's going to go down on the weekly. Look, it's not going up back. It's going to come back here for a correction before they fall and then go back up. So don't jump on that too fast, right? Just remember it's a weekly chart. It's showing you where the weekly is going to do. That doesn't mean it starts going up. It's going all right now. So they're falling. At this point, I think we might be going up back. Watch this. We can possibly be making a correction to the upside here. All right, an up move correction. This will be a bigger correction, and then we're going to look for the downside. So they're making a bigger corrective structure before you fall. Let's see. New Zealand CAD. You can look for a sell setup. I think we're going to get some more downside here. If this consolidation here breaks to the downside, go for that trade. To the upside, ignore it. To the downside, go for the trade. You're coming to break. You're coming back to test the low. New Zealand Swiss. This one is unlikely going to go down. It's going to go down, but not very far. And if they do this and they break to the upside, go for that trade. Cat Swiss. We're going to move very fast now. Cat Swiss, you're expecting one more down. I think all of you can see this pattern. There was a sell set up there. I didn't show you. You see this? There was a sell set up there. You saw that. Probably getting another sell set up here, right? And you're looking for this straight down. It's not the smoothest chart, I can tell you that. If you don't have patience, don't trade it. Copper. Look for an up move in copper very soon. It's like silver. It's consolidating very big. See that consolidation there? They're going to break to the upside. You can, let me show you one of it so you know, I make your life easy. But see one of that? You go to 1, 2, 3 here, expecting that to go up. Natural gas, consolidating, you're going to go up. You're making consolidation here. You can see that consolidation you're making there. They might come to the top here. They might go back down and then go up, right? So you can get an early buy into this. If you get an early buy, don't expect that to break out, right? You get an early buy here, you might get a trade that will only come like this, still come back here, and then probably go, right? It could come here and then come back down and then probably go. They could stay here for a while, but they're consolidating for upside. US oil, remember I told you this was going to go down back, even if it breaks the previous 4-hour top. Remember when it was here and we told you guys, this is only one piece of that pattern. This is going to be another piece. Even if it breaks the top, we were expecting it to come here and then go down back. And I said, ignore if they break the top, they still have to come back down because they have to complete the pattern. Now, I think all of you are getting a little confused. And I think this is one of the questions. This is the first question we answer in our course. Are they really making patterns for you? I think all of you are like, why do they make these patterns? Do they make ABCs? The chart has to make a pattern for you. And people who are fundamental traders say, well, why are you talking they're making a pattern? No, they're not making a pattern for us. If you understand anything about trading, it's not making a pattern for you. The market is behaving a certain way and we read it. We read into the pattern. We read into it and figure out what pattern the market, because whatever it is doing will become a pattern. Put it that way. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. It doesn't matter whether it's manipulated, whether it's fundamental news, whether it's economy, whether it's somebody talking crazy stuff, whether it's anything that's happening, any and everything, the sum total of all of that will make a pattern. Forget about what pattern. It will make a pattern. Forget about what the pattern is. You don't care what the pattern is. It could make any pattern. It could be making circles like this and then go up or then go down. What we do, or what we teach you to do as well, is to read into those and tell us what is the likely possibility of this pattern going one direction or the other. And when we look into that and study it, we are telling you, you know what? When they make that circle, it is likely going to go up. Or when it make that circle, it is likely going to go down, depending on what type of pattern it's making. That's what we do. It doesn't matter what the pattern is. It's not about ABC, WXY, or some crazy people out there. Hey, I labeled my thing according to Elliott wave. Now it should do this. No, it shouldn't. That's not what it is. It will make a pattern, and whatever that pattern is, your ability to read that pattern. No certain patterns, right? Thank God none of them. Whatever that pattern is, depend on your ability to read it correctly. And if you're watching me for the last couple of years, we developed that strategy, how to read that thing correctly. We developed that technique. Using Elliott wave and using other theories that are around, that I learned, nobody does that better than me. This is not boasting, this is what I know. Most you see out there are just copying. No one's read that more accurately. Even my critics come back and said, well, yeah, he's very correct about that. But, you know, we think he just guessed this way probably. I'm one of the best guessers in the world today. This is starting to look like two things. We were trading these down and this down and this down, and we could still trade this down. But at this level, there is a pattern from here that could go up. And every single one of you right now could name that pattern. If I ask you to write the name, every single one of you will write the correct name for that pattern. But can this pattern also break here and then go up? And I think every one of you should be able to name that pattern as well. Or could it be more complicated? You see? You don't have to, but I know all of you can label it. Whether you're in my group or not, you can label it. The problem is not only labeling the pattern. That's hindsight. Like I said, the problem is not just put a label. Labeling is hindsight. The problem is, can you forecast what it's going to do and when it's going to do it and how you're going to do it? How many do you think people saw that downside? When this was going up, many of them were saying it's going up, and that was going to go up to heaven. That's the difference. That is exactly the difference about understanding this. So now we're looking at this. Could this possibly be upside? Possible. Right now, you don't have a trade setup. You would have to wait for that confirmation because you have a three-wave structure in here that could be a lower degree flat for upside. See that? For upside. Because you have a low here. There's a reason that line is there. If they come and break that line, you're selling. Okay? Let's go. S&P 500. Anything new? Remember this going up? Remember, even if they break the top, they still have to turn down. All right, that's it. That's all you need to know. Now, we're making a big consolidation for another up move. I don't think we're looking at this. This is where it becomes complicated. 1, 2, 3. If you look at that as a single pattern, then you need to go back up and come back down before you can go up. If you look at this here as a 1, 2, 3, with this being a squeeze for a C wave, then you only need one down and then totally up. But you notice in both patterns, what it has to do, first we'll have to make an up move and continue to go or come back down and then go. So you can wait for a buy setup anywhere in this area here now. You can look for a buy setup. If it's going to make an expanding flat, you're not going to get the buy setup so early, right? So if it is going to make an expanding flat, it means it's going to continue to fall until it breaks the previous low for an expansion, not a running flat, right? So on the 1 hour, you're getting short-term sells and you might be getting a turn now on this. See this? You might be getting a turn. I would wait to see what they do here. And if they do that, you sell again. And if they do this, you sell again. And if they do this, you sell again. Until what? Until you get something that looks like this. Let me give you you get something that looks like this and then this. And now you start buying. So if we get a consolidation here for a buy, you take it. If you get a sharp move here and a consolidation for a buy, you take it. Wherever you get that impulse and consolidation buy, you start buying. DAX definitely has to go up one more. DAX came down much more lower than I expect. I didn't think DAX was going to come this low, but it definitely has to go back up. At least the minimum you have to have is this wave back up. You have to have that wave to complete this structure. And only then we can expect it to come here. So if you get buy setup in DAX, you can go for that trade. And then we would look for this downside. So do we have a buy setup on the 1 hour? Not as yet, which means you can still go down some more. You can still make small hourly impulses until that up move comes. What will be the signal for long-term sells in the S&P 500? S&P is going to make more higher highs before it comes down. There is one more up impulse. If you're going for long-term sells, you have to go one more up impulse, which means that will take a couple of months, break the previous high that it had, which means it will go higher, right? It will go higher than it is, and then that fall, the fall will come when nobody expects it to come. Because when it starts to go back up, oh, the market is picking up back now, so now we're going to all go in. And that's what they want you to think. You can all go in, everybody. The entire world is going to go back in, and then, boom. That big surprise is going to come, right? From nowhere, from out of the blues, with no warning signs to you who don't know how to see it, right? So let's go. Let me do some Bitcoin before we end the webinar. Expect downside. Okay.